The sad truth is, most people that start a fat loss journey end up failing time and time again. From my research and working with thousands of people over the last decade, we have got incredible results, as you can see. How have we accomplished this? We have looked at the data of how the most successful clients have accomplished their goal and also kept the goal over the long run. Because there's one thing you can do is you can get results maybe short term in terms of fat loss, but in terms of building muscle mass, getting your performance at the right place, and getting yourself to a point where you enjoy the journey and you keep that body composition that you want, and actually furthering that body composition over time is a completely different story. 4 things nobody tells you about fat loss. Number 1 is counting calories. Is it necessary? For a lot of people, counting calories is not a necessity when they start their journey. And the biggest thing with this is that they end up in a situation in where they think they need to count calories and end up never getting started because they confuse themselves and they think to themselves, this is going to be a very difficult journey, and they end up putting themselves off because of their confusing numbers and they don't know how much calories they should be eating, and they start asking so many questions, and which then delays the beginning, which for most people is the biggest problem, is actually starting their journey. So what would you do instead of counting calories? You would then focus on making sure you're eating the right produce. Let's say you did that for the first 2 weeks. You focus for 2 weeks on a small timeline. And why is that important? Because it gives you, a start and an end time. Even though after 14 days you're going to carry on, at least you can just break it up into smaller sections, which are more achievable. So what would that look like? You would then eat enough protein, which is lots of animal fat, such as beef, lamb, eggs, chicken, fish, eating as much as that as you possibly can, lots and lots of fruit over the next 2 weeks. Don't count your calories. And just by doing that alone, you're going to feel far more satiated. You're going to feel far better in terms of energy. You're going to just feel generally way better. You're going to drop fat because you're going to be not hungry and craving food all the time. So there's so many parts to positivity by not counting your calories and actually just putting all your energy in, focusing on the right food, because it's so easy for people just to follow the right food rather than confusing it. And it's when you give someone simplistic tasks to do, it's far easier because then they'll actually apply it. When you give someone something confusing, on the other hand, it might be more technical and maybe 1 or 2% better in theory, but the actual results do not show that. So the data shows that taking away the calories and starting out with the person with the right food will make a massive difference to the person's outcome in terms of the results, especially when they're starting out. Number 2 is training frequency. A lot of people on a fat loss journey, they go from either not doing very much to doing so much stuff, or they're doing some basic training and they're trying to push as hard as they possibly can in their training program, plus do 5, 6, 7 days a week. When it comes to fat loss specifically, you want to find that balance. You want to find that balance, making sure that you're going to the gym a good amount of times to get that right growth on the muscle, to get the amount, much energy expenditure, but also you want to understand how to rest, okay? Because when you rest enough, that's going to help you, make sure your hormones are the right place so you don't start binge eating, because when you train too much, I'm sure you can find that sometimes you're like, I've trained a lot today, I want to eat, I want to eat, I want to eat, which then makes you not lose fat. So you end up in a very negative cycle because you end up training more, not losing fat, get frustrated, give up. That's usually the cycle for most people. So what you're trying to do here is you're trying to get the training frequency correct. So what would that look like? That would look like training, let's say, 3 times a week for someone who's not been training at all. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, simple way to follow, and that would be easy to start off with. As you get stronger and fitter and you feel you're able to do it, you could maybe change that to a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So you're getting your 4 sessions, and you want to maybe go for Monday, working on a basis of strength and conditioning. Tuesday, you could do upper body. Thursday, you could do lower body. Friday, you could do a more functional strength exercise. And as you develop to the next stage, you can even do a Saturday which means that you could do even like a cardio day. So you would do 5 sessions would be more than enough. I wouldn't do any more than that. Even 4 is fine. So either 4 or 5, you pick that you find achievable. Remember, doing more is not always good. It's more up to the person and what they think they feel best with. And then from there, on a say for example, a Wednesday and a Sunday, you take complete rest. You don't do anything else. You maybe do some walking, which you should be doing every day anyway, and that will help your body recover. That will help your rest, and it will also help you stick to the nutrition because your hormones will be in a far, far better place. Number 3 is it is not a prison. And what I mean by that is when you have these structures with your nutrition, your training, and your daily lifestyle, if you have a goal, let's say, for example, drop 10 kilos in the next 90 days, let's say you have a week that's a little bit busier than most, and you get 2 sessions in, and for 4 of the days you get enough steps, and for 1 of the days you don't eat correctly. Well, what's going to happen there? It's not the end of the world. You don't have to beat yourself up and think, oh my God, this is not going to work anymore. What you need to do is you need to focus on making sure that your next day from the bad days is better than the previous, and just working to do the basics. Because if you don't do that, you end up sabotaging your own results. And I'm sure people listening to this have done this so many times on a fat loss journey. You keep getting into your own head and thinking, oh, I've messed up, what's the point? On a fat loss journey, when I have a client come to me, I already know within that 90 days, there are going to be some problem points. Yes, I've had some clients that haven't really. They've just followed exactly what I've told them. But as a majority, you'll have clients that will mess up for a couple of weeks. And those are the most important weeks to see what they do. Because if they do nothing, that is potentially not a failure, but close to it. But if they do something, you need to reiterate that back to them. And also with yourself, you say, well, you know what? I did the first 2 weeks, I messed up for a couple of weeks, but I did some stuff, more than I would usually do, and then after the 2 weeks, you got back on it again. Whereas that would be success. That would be success because you're going to get the 10 kilogram drop. I can still guarantee you'll still hit that goal. But for most people, they get great this first 2-3 weeks, amazing. For 2 weeks, they mess up, then they kind of get back on it and then give up again. That is a horrible cycle, and it gets over and over and over again. The only way to be successful with fat loss, and you can relate this to anything in life, is to keep going, keep making small changes. How do you do that? Is learn. The more education you have on nutrition, training, and also one of the major things is accountability, having accountability, either register with a program or a coach, and then also on top of that, making sure not just accountability, but you're actually following it, consistently after. You're not just going, you know what, I'm not being consistent, who cares? That is super, super important. And one other thing is, when you're in that 2 weeks, that little journey, making little wins along that 2 weeks is so important, and that will make a huge difference. Because just by saying I've not done perfectly is not going to help, because before you start your journey, if you think you're going to be perfect for 90 days, you may as well not start if you're going to give up as soon as things go down. And that is really important. The last thing is getting a community around you. If you've got the right community around you, this will keep you accountable with other people who are similar to you on the same journey. Because if they're doing really well, that's going to push you and incentivize you to keep going. If you're just on your own, it's really difficult. So get a coach, get a community, and this will help so much when it comes to your fat loss journey. Number 4 is protein and fat. And I highlighted the word "and" because a lot of people, when they're on a fat loss journey or a fitness journey, performance, they try and have more protein, which is correct, but they misunderstand that you have to balance that with the right fats. Carbohydrates can be spoken about in another time, but let's focus on the protein and fat. Why is this important? Where do you get most of your nutrients from? The fattier meats. You're going to get them from your beef, your lamb, your egg yolks, your salmon, rather than you're getting them from, for example, your leaner meats, like your chicken, your prawns. You're going to feel far better with the higher fats. And then that is the biggest mistake people make when it comes to a fat loss journey, is they focus on protein, but they don't have enough animal fats. Then they get sick, they don't feel right, and they don't know what it is. And it's so important to make sure those fats are high enough, because when the fats are high enough, that's going to satiate you, like I was explaining from number one. It's going to help you with your nutrient level. It will get you stronger and performance will be higher. You won't get sick all the time. The amount of people that I speak to that get sick consistently is insane, because they are not even ones who are coaches. They're lean. They get sick quite often. They don't feel good. Why? Because they're eating such lean meats all the time. You know, they're having grains such as rice, quinoa, breads, which is fine sometimes, but they're eating them all the time, and you're not getting the high enough nutrient level. And this is fundamental when it comes to making sure you get the right fat loss, because if you can't sustain something over a long period of time, you're never going to actually get results over the long run, which is the whole goal at the end of the day, is to get short-term results within, let's say, 90 days. That's what I do with my clients. We do 90-day transformations. But after that, as the client stays with us, you know, we have a very good retention, but they keep going and keep making more progress on performance, muscle mass, mobility, and only way to do that is to keep the client feeling good in that process. If you're looking to transform your body and you can relate to some of the stuff in today's video, then click the link below or click the link on my bio if you're watching on Instagram, and you can apply on that link.